Welcome to another Data Protection Trends 2022 Learning Nugget. Jason, we're going to shift now into looking at specific solutions. We've got a couple in particular we want to highlight. First up, containers.
Yeah, so for most of the data in the Data Protection Trends report, we surveyed 3,300 IT leaders, IT decision makers from 28 countries around the world. In this case, though, we actually forked off and said, are you familiar with your organization's container strategy? And 1,300 of the 3,300 executives said yes. So let's look at their responses. And the first question was, what is their progress around containers? And out of 1,300 responses, Dave, none of them said it's not in plan, right? So at least there's momentum going. What are your thoughts on the progress made?
Yeah, I love this. And just amplifying your point, we kicked out or filtered out those that may not really be qualified to answer, but the N is still high at almost 1,400. As you say, no one says they're not interested. 9 right now say, they're not in production deployment, but they're interested in doing that. The rest, they are planning very soon to be in production, meaning over a third at 35%, but overwhelmingly, and this may be a little shock to some, what you see here is 56% already today are running containers in production. Sometimes we think of, Jason, containers as something that's going to happen soon in the future. The future is now.
Yeah, that is amazing to me. So if you say 56% of the 1,300 responses, you get like 8 and some high change, 800-ish. So 800 out of the 3,300 organizations. So even in the global space, that's 1 out of 4 organizations are in production. Of the execs who are actually suitable to answer the question, we see 1 out of 2 say, yeah, we're already in full speed production with containers along the way. Now, the trick is, and we've talked about this, I've talked about this for years, whenever you modernize production, you have to modernize protection. And so the second question we asked in this survey was around, who is actually responsible for backing up the containers, in this case, Kubernetes, in this new world? Dave, your thoughts?
Yeah, to me, this is really interesting, and I'm really excited to watch this one morph and change over time because I think it will. But today, if you just take out the 5% that say they don't know, you get 4 different kind of methodologies, in some cases even personas involved. Over on the left, 20 and 20. It's the same team that backs up other things in IT. Nope, it's the team that manages the Kubernetes framework. Just pausing on that, Jason, that's a reason why our Kasten folks go after the cloud native people. Yep. That's why the Veeam heritage people can go after the traditional IT data center backup people. And then over on the right-hand side, 27%, they're using the storage component, 27% saying, well, it's the application owner. What this really says to me is there's a few different ways people are protecting it today. There are a few different personas or people that think that their team should be doing this. We've got the ability now to speak to multiple different groups, but I think increasingly leverage that one over in the kind of upper left-hand side, the same team that does IT systems.
Yeah, and I think 2 things to add to this. One, for the 5% of organizations who don't know who's backing it up, I'm going to read that as 5% of is not being backed up at all, right? Because if you don't know who it is, it probably ain't happening, right?
Yeah.
The other thing is that history teaches us, and we see this on both the data points on the right, the storage folks and the app folks. Dave, roll the clock back, 14, 15 years when virtualization was first out there and we didn't have good products for backing up VMs yet, right? What was happening? So the legacy folks would say, oh, well, we sell storage, so you should just back up the storage. Or, oh, no, just let the DBAs handle it. It's an app, it's in a VM, the DBAs handle it. And what we saw was that, no, that's not the right way. You got to protect the whole thing, not just a component of it. And over the last 15 years, Veeam has led a holistic approach to data protection as opposed to just protecting a component. I expect both of the data points on the right will continue to shrink as more and more Kubernetes environments find out there really is a better way. If you want to read more about this and the rest of the report, go to vee.am/DPR22.